Hello everyone. This is video number 1 of a new video series called What's Inspiring Today, where I take a look at various media, whether it be graphic novels, books, as is the case with what we have here, movies, video games, things that just get the wheels turning, that help my creative process. And if I can highlight or spotlight something that is exciting to you and help you in your creative journey, mission accomplished. Job well done. Let's take a look at what's here. I received this on Amazon this morning, or Amazon delivered this to me, I should say. It was about 25 bucks, so not very expensive. There's quite a few pages in here. It's got some pretty good thickness. It's well made. It has a beautiful layout. It's kind of a little more landscape formatted. Let me give you something for reference. So I'm going to put Xanathar's next to it. So a little, not as tall vertically, but feels like a coffee table book. What really stood out to me and what drew me specifically to this book is a couple of days ago I was browsing through various artists on Instagram, and I came upon this artwork that screamed to me of a certain style that I've been really delving into quite deeply lately. I have a PDF of a tabletop role-playing game called Tales from the Loop. I came upon this art style that felt very familiar, and I thought, hey, that looks like the same guy who drew the stuff in Tales from the Loop. And lo and behold, as we flip it over, we're seeing this sort of very War of the Worlds, kind of reminds me of a little bit of City 17 from Half-Life. Simon Stalenhag, the guy who created this book, is the internationally lauded artist and author. So this individual drew everything here and wrote all the stories here. Of Tales from the Loop and Things from the Flood, narrative art books that stunned the world with a vision of an alternate Scandinavia in the 1980s and 90s, where technology has invaded the tranquil landscapes to form an entirely new universe of the eerie and the nostalgic. He lives in Stockholm, Sweden. The art in this book is top-notch. It's beautiful. When I'm talking through these various things, whether it's, again, video games, movies, books, as is the case here, all I'm ever looking for is stuff to refill the tank, fuel for creativity. I believe my strength as a dungeon master and everything that I have to offer in the D&D realm all stems from a foundation that I have as a creative individual. And in that, you always want to build a visual library. You always want to find different sources from various media that can constantly refill the tank for you. And most importantly, which is why I believe this book is going to be of quite a bit of value to me, you want to try and do what you can to find inspiration from outside of the genre that you're spending most of your time in, from outside of the place where you're putting a lot of your creative work. And I think as you start to delve into various content that just sparks and fuels your creativity, you will notice that creativity has no bounds. It has no limits. It doesn't need to come from a specific author or a specific, it's not all just Tolkien. It's not all just George R.R. Okay, you can find inspiration anywhere. And as you pull from these resources, from this visual library that you are creating, you're going to be able to adapt, create better stories and better descriptions at your table. So I'm just going to talk through this very, very quickly. It's kind of more of a setup of book number 1 of this new series that I'm doing. This book is called The Electric State. It was bought on Amazon for 25 bucks. The book craft is quite well done. It's solid, well bound. As we start to flip through just a little bit, I love the colors. It's very, if you see the front cover, as a matter of fact, I'll put it up on screen right now. Take a look at this front cover from Tales from the Loop, the tabletop RPG. It's regarded by many as one of the best front covers. If you saw that book on the shelf as a tabletop RPG and that little title down there of, role-playing in a alternate universe of the 80s or whatever it says there, that's enough to pick that book up off the shelf, right? It's enticing. There's something there. There's something fantastical about it that draws me in, and I think that's what you want to capture. The art in here is outstanding. I have not read the stories yet, but I will delve into this. I have heard it's got very, very good reviews. The story is supposedly incredible. The art is Simon is a phenomenal artist. I mean, let's look at a couple of these pages here. You've got a bunch of full page pieces of artwork. There's something here that just really speaks to me creatively. I love the design also. If you're looking for sort of design 101, how to, this is it. Because it has that sort of landscape format, I mean, look at the layout of this, you know, this double page spread right here. I love that you've got some pieces of art you have a full page of art here, you have more than half a page of art here, and then you have the little column of words, which is all justified. The font is readable. I mean, it's just well, you know, again, this can hold its own as a book on your coffee table that someone can look through purely for art. But when you want to read that story, it's just an elegant and beautiful way to convey the information. And then sometimes you have just a whole full piece of art with just clean text. I love the black, the white. It's just very pristine. It makes the art stand out. Let's see. Let's find like an amazing piece of art. Something with a little more flash and flare and color. I love the little introduction to the chapters. It's just clean. Perfect, very architectural, pristine sans serif font. I mean, take a look at this double page art. I mean, that's not what they call photo bashing or a photograph of a car. That's drawn. So I'm going to zoom into this, one of these pages. Let's just zoom in here. I mean, we are looking at some gorgeous, gorgeous artwork here. And even though we're looking at sci-fi, the wheels are turning, right? Things are spinning in my head. Look at this piece right here. What this has me thinking of is like the favelas in Brazil. Just stacks and stacks of houses. Imagine approaching, you know, and we're talking medieval setting here, a world in D&D. Your PCs come down the road and they just notice that there's this tavern and everything is a little off kilter. You know, kind of the way like Diagon Alley was in Harry Potter, where it felt like the buildings were sort of speaking to you. It can almost feel very Alice in Wonderland-ish. And imagine if you have a tavern, and then on top of that is various huts, and then way up at the top is where the hermit lives. But just imagine that, and then go ahead and transport that to your table, where you have to make terrain, you know, out of foam, or pull out your dwarven forge. Imagine how cool of a fight you can have. And this is something completely unrelated, of course, right? We've got trucks here in very modern architecture, but the wheels are spinning. And I think when you do this, when you pull from sources that are outside of the genre, what it does is it adds a level of uniqueness and freshness to it, because it doesn't feel to your players like, oh, it's just more orcs, or it's Warhammer orcs, or it's Games Workshop stuff, or Tolkien, or you get where I'm going with that. You're pulling from somewhere else. Watch a movie like Fifth Element or Dune, which has a few elements of both. I'm talking 1980s Dune. That has a few elements of both sci-fi and fantasy. But watch a little bit of Fifth Element and see what you can pull from the various fight scenes, or just the landscapes and the architecture and the cinematography, and see how you can bring that into your fantasy game. And I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how much content you have. So I just wanted to spotlight this book a little bit. Once again, drawn and authored by Simon Stalenhag. It's called The Electric State. The book craft is top notch for 25 bucks. This is a really cool book that I'm going to be proud to have on my shelf, and I can't wait to read through this whole story and see what it's about. And perhaps I'll make a video talking about and commenting on that. But that's all I have for you folks today. I just wanted to talk to you about this and introduce you to a new video series abbreviated as W.I.T, W-I-T. What's inspiring today? This is The Electric State by Simon Stalenhag. Links are in the description as to where you might be able to find this if you're interested. That's all. See you later.